welcome now someone who represents those who make their living in the auto industry. Congressman Tim Ryan is a Democrat from Ohio whose district includes the Lordstown GM plant on the list for closure. And just yesterday, Representative Ryan announced that he would join the growing field seeking the nomination to challenge President Trump in 2020. So welcome, Congressman.
Thank you.
And as I said earlier, I think I congratulate you. Well, time will tell. It's a tough thing you're taking on here. But I want to start here with this issue about the southern border and about cars, because it can really intersect with your constituents in a couple of different ways. Are you for it or against it, putting new tariffs on cars from Mexico?
Well, we've seen an outflux of manufacturing in the United States, and a lot of these cars are going to Mexico, like General Motors. They closed down a factory in Youngstown, Ohio. They put a factory in Mexico. So I think we have to explore all of these opportunities to try to drive manufacturing back into the United States. My problem with the president's analysis of all this is it changes day by day. I don't know how people function in the business world with a president like this. What's the tariff going to be? What's the cost going to be? Who we mad at today? And tomorrow we're friends. And he uses this rhetoric politically, I think, and that is not good for business because there's no stability.
Another challenge for some of us trying to cover this is how much of this is economic in terms of tariffs and manufacturing, things like that, and how much geopolitical in terms of people coming across the border and issues like that. Do you agree that there is a crisis on the southern border? Because the influx of people trying to get in the country has shot up rather dramatically.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's at crisis level, but it is an issue that we need to deal with. We do need to protect our border. There's no question about it. The question is, how do we do it? How smart can we do it? You're not going to put a wall in the middle of the Rio Grande River. That's just not going to happen. We have technology. Let's use that to secure the border. These drugs are pouring in through ports of entry. So this conversation over the last however many months shutting down the government over a wall doesn't make any sense because the drugs are coming in through the water or through the ports of entry. Focus on that. But here's the real issue. The people coming over are coming from Central America. This president needs to pick up his presidential daily briefing, recognize that that's where the issue is. We need to stabilize those countries. And now he's saying he's going to cut the State Department budget for helping those countries. There's gangs running these countries. That's why people are fleeing to the United States. Pay attention, Mr. President. Fix the problem. As citizens, a lot of us want to say, I don't want to know about all these problems in the world. Fix them before they become a problem where they're on TV.
Coming back a little closer to home, particularly your home, Youngstown, Ohio, you referred to, and the jobs numbers that came out today. We had 196,000 jobs added in the month of March, which is good. The president just tweeted, actually, jobs, jobs, jobs. He's very pleased with it.
Yeah.
At the same time, manufacturing jobs were the one thing that went down.
Yeah.
What's the situation where you come from? How does it look like for manufacturing jobs?
Well, we lost just in the last few months 1,700 auto jobs, good-paying auto jobs, and you have a 4 or 5 times multiplier to that. So you're talking about 10,000 jobs. I think Bloomberg reported about a $3 billion effect on the economic impact in the region. So we're not feeling it. And across the country, we are creating jobs. The question is, are people's standard of living going up? When you have 40 to 50% of the country, families in the country can't withstand a $400 or $500 emergency, that is not making its way down to working class people in places like Youngstown.
So you're running for president in 2020. In 2016, the president went to places like Ohio, your home state, Michigan, my home state.
Sure did.
So you know you've lost a lot of jobs, you've been left behind, and people resonated with that because they really feel that way. What's going on today? Are the people in Ohio saying, you know what, he promises jobs he didn't deliver? Or are they saying he just hasn't gone far enough?
I think they want him to be calm and focus. What's the long-term plan? We've not seen a huge growth in jobs. I mean, some people are doing well, some aren't, but there's been no real movement along the lines of increasing standards of living. And I think the president needs to say, what's the agenda here? What are we going to do? There's all of these opportunities. Take electric vehicles, for example. China dominates 40% of the electric vehicle market. We're going to go from making 2 million electric vehicles today to 30 million in 2030. The president needs to say, how are we going to dominate this market in the United States so we can put these auto workers back to work? Who's going to make the batteries? Who's going to do the technology for the charging stations? How are we going to export that to other countries? How do we cut workers in on the deal? That's the real issue. He has no plan. You can't just say, I'm going to put tariffs on China and I'm going to cut taxes, and boy, I hope everything works out.
So let's assume you do have a plan. It's compelling. You come from the upper Midwest. Some people call it the Rust Belt. And that plan might well appeal there. At the same time, the other people that are running, many of them from the Democrats right now, are saying things that more appeal to the base, to California, to New York, things like that. How can you have a message that both resonates in the primaries, gets you through the primaries, and then works in the general? Because what you're talking about sounds more like a general appeal than a primary appeal.
I don't know about that. I mean, I think most Democrats are working class people. I mean, I know we have well-educated people in the suburbs and all of that stuff, but I know Democrats know that we need to win these states. And I can win Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin. So those people know that, and I think they want to beat Donald Trump, and they want to put somebody in the race and nominate somebody who can beat him. But we don't need to be the party of or. If we're going to be a national political party, you need to be the party of and. We can talk about the very important social justice issues that are critical for a democratic society, that make sure that there's not structural racism and inclusion and all of that, and have a big, bold economic plan in the United States.
Can you, and by that I mean the Democrats, win with Medicare for all? Is that a winning proposition in 2020?
I think some version of a public option for people to be able to go and get affordable, quality health care sure is. I don't know if that's the exact nomenclature or that's how you call it, but the underlying value is a stone cold winner.
Well, let me try to pin you down a little bit, because it seems like there are a couple alternatives here, which is improve and fix Obamacare. And the other is throw it out. Bernie Sanders said, I'm not interested even in fixing Obamacare. I want a whole new plan, which is something like Medicare for all. If you have to choose, which one makes more sense?
Well, I think we do need to move towards a Medicare for all style system. The question is, what are the steps between here and there on how to get there? I think the natural next step is, how do you bring Medicare down to 55 or 50 so those working class steel workers, auto workers, coal miners, can buy into Medicare with help to be able to afford it. And then let small businesses buy in, small businesses with under 50 or 100 employees. So it's a Medicare for more system where these people can buy into it, and that's a very pro-entrepreneur, pro-innovation system that both takes care of people in the old economy and provides incentives for the new economy.
You got less than 12 months before the Iowa caucuses and then the New Hampshire primaries. You have a couple of people who are out running in front. Bernie Sanders, for example, is out there in front. How do you get into the top tier, which I assume you have to be in the top 3, 4, something like that in Iowa, and then carry it over to New Hampshire? How do you get there?
Work my rear end off. You go, there's no easy way to do it, but you go to Iowa, you go to New Hampshire, you touch voters, you shake their hands, you look them in the eye, you tell them what you want to do. And I believe that my message and my understanding coming out of Youngstown, Ohio, is I really understand the old economy and I know how to get us to the new economy. When the steel mills collapsed in 1977 in Youngstown, the technology in the steel mills was pre-World War I. We have that same choice today around artificial intelligence and additive manufacturing. Are we going to bury our heads in the sand? Or are we going to grab this technology, infuse it into our industries, and dominate? Ramp up productivity, cut these workers in on the deal. That's the big question. And they're going to look at the field and they're going to say who best understands that and who can bring together a divided country to pitch that big economic vision for all of us.